At the edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Holy cow, we're in the blue room on an away mission. I'm Dantron. I'm going to definitely be ejecting early out of this one, but let's bring in your hosts. You know him, you love him. The Doctor, Johnny Price, PhD. Hey, Doc. What's up?
Hi, guys.
And the Captain. Captain Fun. Oh, Captain, my Captain. What's going on?
Hey, guys. I just got back from the USS Yorktown. I haven't changed out of my gym clothes yet.
K-Town.
As everyone knows, the Yorktown was the original name for the Enterprise, so I have some love for that.
Yeah, I totally knew that.
Just because this is Robert T. April of the USS Yorktown. I think it'd be the same show, I guess. But I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me.
Kind of cool. We got a Bob April going on in the new series, right?
Yeah, so I just watched the new one. And I, unlike John, love everything about Star Trek except for Dave Blass and Terry Matalas and Stashwick, because he's in with those three too. But my kid and I watched it again. He watched it twice, which wasn't happening during Discovery nor Picard. So that's interesting. They got him back again. And he just started riffing okay, remember some episode in season 1, they had that picture of Captain April and First Officer Pike, framed up against the wall. They're wearing those old cool gold shirts from Where No Man Has Gone Before, and they just put those actors' heads on a picture of Shatner and Nimoy. And I'm like, yeah, that was fucking great. He goes, okay, stick with me. And a whole episode where that's the A story. You just start off as Captain April of the Enterprise. We're doing some shit, and then they just do stuff, and whatever happens informs the story, the B story in the present. And I'm like, dude, what is that telling you? That you can write better Star Trek than the guy just sitting on their couch while he's sanding his latest, dark saber sword thing he printed out from
Hollywood big shot Rick Austin is asking if episode 2 is out. It's not out yet, right, guys? We haven't. None of us have seen it anyway. Although I would think a guy with your kind of connections, R.A., why don't you have the first 6 episodes?
See, I wouldn't even start there. I would think people like us would have our show on Thursday or Friday, so we didn't have this problem.
I know. Guys, I'm willing to move it back if you guys want to. So we're not stale news, but it's a Tuesday is a beautiful sweet spot for me. But I would probably just take it over with comic book news anyway.
I was just more just saying, don't give Rick a hard time about not knowing what day it is.
Yeah, okay.
We don't need to change anything. But oh my God, this episode, I think I'm gonna have to buy a red shirt now. I've never had a red shirt. I did once get one, and I got it in trade, and I sent it to John because I'm like, I can't have this death red shirt thing in our house. But red shirts they don't spell death in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, that's too cliche now, right? They have to subvert that expectation. That's what they're.
I just appreciate John not shitting on my enthusiasm.
No,
he's like, yeah, okay, Larry. That's
well, guys. We got to talk about that. I am going to bail early, like I said, and maybe we can touch on the Flash because I can't wait for Larry's hot take on the Flash. But he's the only one you're the only one who's seen it.
I can say it right now. It's fucking great. And if you got a problem with the Flash, I don't know what you're doing.
There it is.
That's my hot take. It's like the complaints I keep hearing is well, it's the CG is shitty and it doesn't really make any sense. And no, let me stop you there. Is it a multiverse movie? Well, that's how shit looks in the multiverse, right? The reason the CG is shitty is because all the cameos of, Adam West and George Reeves from the 50s, all the source material is just fucking 1950s broadcast quality. There's no way to make that look photorealistic unless you spend a lot of money, and they're just not gonna for a 2-second shot. So Yeah, look at all the people here is like, it's fucking great. Hot take of Flash, go see it. And if you don't like multiverse stuff, what are you going to see the Flash for? If you're sad about how many times they've done Flashpoint, what do you care? It's a multiverse.
I do care about that a little bit.
Why? How many fucking actors play Macbeth? It's the same goddamn thing.
I guess what makes me happy is that it means they could still do a great Dark Knight Returns adaptation, even though Zack Snyder kind of snagged some of the juicy bits out of that for Batman versus Superman.
Then I would have something to say, man. If 1978 Clint Eastwood isn't playing in Dark Knight Returns, I'm automatically not going to care. There's no way you can cast that now, and especially since they did the cartoon and did it perfectly. You can't do that in live action. There's no point. You might as well have Batman fight Darth Vader at that point, right?
I think it's hilarious that in one you've got two huge superhero multiverse movies that are like simultaneous play in the theaters, and one is getting just acclaimed out the yin yang for Spider-Verse, and Flash, I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to believe. I'll be honest. I can only trust my own eyes.
Hollywood's fucked up.
They had so many things going against them, from how long it took, the fact that this is the third time they've done this story, the problems with that kooky actor. I thought he was.
So what?
I thought he was like a silly supporting kind of character anyway, so it's kind of hard to hang a movie on that guy anyway.
Why? He's an actor.
It just has to be good. And Flash is tough to do too, like without an establishing Flash movie.
Every single fanboy who goes, I have a problem with that. Not the girls, okay? I can't speak to that. But every fanboy who goes, I can't watch that guy. He's a piece of shit human being. I want that guy to look in his bathroom mirror and go, hey, dude, how many times did you get drunk and be an asshole to somebody in a bar? And how many times did you put your hands around somebody's neck? Because that happens in bars, right? So this fucking guy got really drunk in Alaska and fucking put his hands on some girl. Okay, that's not cool.
I don't have a problem with any of that stuff.
I grew up watching, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton movies and fucking Oliver Reed. And like Hollywood is just full of people, and people are all pieces of shit. So if you're going to start going, I don't like this movie because that guy's a piece of shit, fucking don't stop going to movies. I want to talk about Star Trek, and I loved it. John did not love it. I can tell.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we back?
Yes, that was Dan again. You're just be happy when we're talking about AI. Star Trek, yeah.
Sure. I'm just happy he didn't like smush a grapefruit in her face, like Larry.
I don't have anything to say about actors being people because that's not why I like actors. I like them when they act. And that guy fucking rocked that movie. Okay. He played like 6 different characters, and you believe they were all different, and he was great. Or they were great. I'm sorry, I don't want to upset anyone. They were great. But come on.
Who? He played they played 6 characters and they were all great, right? So
yes, awesome. He was great twice in this movie, says Rick Austin. He deserves 2 Oscar nominations. Yes, I support that 100%.
Well, I will watch it before I pass any kind of judgment. I'll try to watch it anyway.
There's not a minute where you don't think those are 2 different guys talking to each other.
I tried to watch Ant-Man last night and I fell asleep immediately.
Which one? The first one?
The new one.
Oh, I haven't seen the new one. So I have a question on leather jackets. Do you think they put the Federation like flag on this side, or do you think they put their current ship on this side? Because there's a lot of variation, right? Because like in the Army, you'll put your current unit over here, and then if you were in combat or something, you would put your old unit over here, right? But then in the Navy, you'll usually put the American flag over here, and your squadron will be up here. Your squadron or your group, right? As we have seen Top Gun. In the Air Force, it's similar, but you would put like the Air Force symbol over here. I don't know. It's a weird conundrum.
So which jacket are you talking about?
Like a leather, A2.
Oh, just any. Oh, for you or in the show?
Well, for any person who is interested in such things. Maybe I was watching Star Trek Beyond the other day, and Scotty's wearing this awesome leather jacket, and it looked really cool. And I was like, "Shit, dude, I got leather jackets. Why not?"
I do. Well, your big problem is like, how are you gonna get those patches on the leather? That's gonna be your big.
I don't want to worry about that part yet.
I do for my Exeter jacket. I just did the Exeter patch in the same place as the Enterprise patch. And then,
see, that's good because you have reference for that one.
Right. Yeah. So, well, if you're just doing your own jacket, then it's automatically right because that one's yours. Right?
But I want it to be uniform code. I want to.
Sounds like
I don't want
to
get written up by Master Chief.
Yeah, you're not a serious Star Trek fan until you have your own serger, right? To do your own serging on.
That's right.
On costumes.
Yeah.
Guys, let's talk about shows. I get your point. All right, let's talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds. That's what we're doing. I got to get out of here before the half hour.
I think both Sagasag and Rick Austin want to hear John shitting on it.
I mean, what else can I say?
I read Dr. John. Sorry, Doc. I read the Good Doctor's piece on Strange New Worlds, and he made me hate Lon Noonien Singh even more. Like really nailing specifically what I hated, even before I could totally realize why I hated it so much. The opening drinking scene, direct swipe from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Marion Ravenwood.
Marion Ravenlawn.
And I didn't catch that, but of course it was. It's like shot for shot, just like those alien shot for shot swipes. John, and
I want to rewatch that scene because I think the Klingon even does the swaying, but I can't remember.
Dude, I've got to now get both those scenes and literally watch the cutting because I think the cutting is even
I think it's pretty similar. Yeah.
It's as close as you can get to plagiarism in a movie. But this is where I was going, Larry. Okay, now Larry. So is it an obvious homage that we're just supposed to recognize and be okay with?
Yeah, I took it like that. Hey, look, she's Raiders of the Lost Ark, that jerk off Klingon guy. They're probably drinking the same shit. Look, this is my family label. Like, I don't get how you get mad at that. I don't know.
I need my pain.
I know that you hate Lon. I don't.
Here's the problem. Here's my problem with Lon, right? I actually wouldn't hate the character if her last name wasn't fucking Khan. Just take that out. Just get rid of it.
That this is going to be a story point, though, right?
Of course, it's going to be a story point. We already saw there was already a preview where she was on trial, and it's like, "Aren't you the granddaughter of Khan Noonien Singh?" And it's like, dude, why? Why are you doing that? Why can't you just be a person?
To see where you hate it, I'm actually interested to see what happens because it's so not what happened. Like nobody knows who Khan is, right?
Yeah.
Except maybe in this world they do. Like, hey, aren't you a great granddaughter of Khan? Like, what the fuck? I can't wait to see what that's.
Well, that leads us to our next point. There's no way to reconcile this with the original series. There's officially, there's no way to reconcile.
Agreed.
Well, wait a minute.
And
yes.
I
not
need to
yet,
just stop trying.
Not yet. There's not.
How would you do it, Dan?
Wait a minute. This is Star Trek. There's a million ex machinas just waiting to fall out of the sky. Dude, the Metrons. As soon as the Metrons get involved with the whole thing, all bets are off, right? Or they could change the Gorns into the slow Gorns that we know of or what? Who knows? They might try to square the circle, but I'm kind of happier maybe if they don't. I just wish the Lon thing was just like we've said before on the show. It could have been a reveal down the road that would have been fun and surprising and maybe interesting instead of so telegraphed from before we've even started the series. We know it's an ancestor.
I actually have a really good feeling that all of this is on purpose. I really think that they're doing that to, in the middle of season 3 or something, go, fuck, have one of the kids that Pike saves in the 10 years from now thing, get killed in a shuttle accident. And then have him realize, wow, this is the show that goes off of the cage instead of this other show
I-
everybody loves.
I
that
would be
watches.
fine with that. I
Yes.
would.
I think that's going to happen. I really do, because everything's so off. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I think
It's completely different.
You
But
just
don't
can't
you
have
feel
somebody
like
come in and go, "Oh, it's all fixed now."
And I'm not even talking about
presence. Pike's mere knowledge of the future, even if he tries not to do anything, would change the past and you know what I mean? It would be a flashpoint type thing where like just his knowledge of that in subtle ways are going to create a vastly different timeline. And that's what I think they're trying to imply, and that's what's going on.
Look at Chris; he deserves an award for that.
Yeah.
I want the Metrons and the Organians to show up and go, "What are you guys doing?" And then just leave.
And there is something to say where it's like, this is Star Trek. There have been so many time travel episodes. Like, who knows what we're in timeline 617, not 616. And that's fine. If they would just acknowledge that and stop gaslighting everybody and being like, no, you're watching the exact same thing that you saw in 1966. No, man.
But I think it's integral to if it's integral to the plot that they plan to tell, then I think that's okay. If that's okay. And when I think about it, all the stuff with Pike and his destiny and his knowledge and subverting that's just sort of supposed to be our cue that the future is not set in stone. The future that we think we know, we don't know.
I hope that they're this smart, but they're not. All that Pike stuff is just, that's so you go, that's the guy you like from this old show if you know who Captain Pike is. That's why they do that.
We talked about it a lot. We talked about this a lot last season where the whole thing was like trauma. Dan, what'd you call it? You called it like trauma therapy or something. I don't remember. You called it something great.
Yeah, you did have.
And I hope that's done with, and we're gonna stop living in the past, and we're gonna start moving forward with our Star Trek storytelling. That would be.
Everybody does have a traumatic backstory. There's no doubt about it. It's just like. You don't lead with it. Oh, Larry's story is
you remember there was
maybe the most tragic of all. The guy who they call Captain Fun, something dark happened.
Here's the clown.
Well, I mean, they had an entire episode last season where everyone just went around telling how fucked up their childhood was. It's like, okay, we get it. Congratulations, your brother died and your father got raped by the Gorn or whatever. Like, we get it. Okay. Let's move forward.
I don't even think that's that tragic. Those Gorn guys, they know how to party.
Died in a shuttlecraft accident. Tragic.
Right. Right. Which has no bearing on why she's very good at communications. But anyway, my point is just that they need to just, I need to get better. This is an apology from me to the universe that I need to get better at understanding that my hate is rooted in my own lost love for the original series. And I wish we had more original series type stuff going on instead of this nonsense over here. But what we have is this nonsense over here, which leads us to Captain Fun's enjoyment.
Walker actually called your problem with it while we were watching, because he was kind of having a similar problem. Because he loves the old show. He just thinks it's great, just like us. The dumber, the better, right? So he loved the one where the girl's stuck in the transporter and having a princess thing, because that's old Star Trek to him, right?
It is. Yeah.
Here comes Space Lincoln.
It is.
But he called it because he says, you know what the problem is with this show is everybody watches it once and then jumps on the internet and thinks that they have a cogent idea. He didn't say cogent, but good idea of what's happening. So when I watched it the second time, I was like, you know what the difference is? In old Star Trek, they would do some two-fisted punching Klingons, right? And then you go, you'd have Spock show up and go, Kirk, that wasn't that great an idea, peace, love, and IDIC. And McCoy's like, you should have killed the motherfucker, Jim. And he's like, I tried, but but it's always after the action. And this one, they always explain what they're going to do for all the kids who are only going to watch it once. And then when the action happens, you remember that, but you don't remember why, right? They're giving all the context before, like, so that stupid fight that oh man, who was it? Peter Seakosh just couldn't deal and came up with the best line ever. It's like, oh, then all of a sudden Nurse Chapel's fighting 20 Klingons in a hallway like Daredevil, and I was like, yes, that's fucking great. It's not the old show, but it's the new show. And
I tell you what,
but that scene, she like says all this stuff. And all that drugs and stuff, that's all something from Dr. Mabenga's backstory, and everybody glosses right over that. She's like, you want to do this again? You know what's going to happen when you nerd out like this with the Hulk juice and everything. And he's like, yeah, I got to do it, though. And like that conversation is all forgotten because Nurse Chapel's doing backflips and Black Widow, takedowns. And I'm like, no, wait, can you show me why he... And she's like, you always carry this stuff, don't you? And he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I do. You never know when you're going to have to beat 20 Klingons in the face.
I totally loved it.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you want? This is incredible. Anyway.
Because, dude, and Mabenga, his whole character, too, he's like, he's seen some shit. And his point of view is like, he doesn't trust the Federation necessarily. He's a Shaheen type character. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely anti-establishment in a way that I really like. And I liked the karate drugs. I was like, I've never seen that in Star Trek before. The only thing I didn't like,
there's a reason,
is the only thing I didn't like is I wanted to see more of like side effects, like they come out of it and they broke their fists or something like that, or they're
they're drained,
really like couldn't feel pain, so they hurt themselves in weird ways, or splitting headache or something. But otherwise, it's like, why aren't they just doing this shit all the time?
Nurse Chapel did that. She has a great scene where she pops a Klingon and then goes,
yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm good with the instant kung fu. That's great.
No, it was good.
Didn't they also jump into space? Did I make that up? I don't remember. Okay.
I laughed my way through the kung fu scenes for sure. I was like, but it's something I haven't seen, and it's something I liked seeing. And I said that for almost everything in the episode. The only stuff I really cringed at was the lawn stuff, and like I said, I didn't even realize why. I hate the trope of drinking makes you a tough guy. Like if you can drink more than somebody else, like. Because you're fucking fatter, or your body fat content is different, or whatever. You metabolize alcohol differently.
They're Klingons, Dan. You have to
fucking
drink with Klingons.
And then I would say, how could a little girl drink a Klingon? But then you go, she's got Khan's souped up genetics, so it almost makes sense.
What I don't understand fans that see that scene and go, well, now how does this work? Like, what are they drinking exactly, and what's the blood alcohol content of it? Come on, Dan. I was mad. Spock didn't go.
Species thing. Too,
Here, you want to see emotions? Fucking drink it with Klingons. That's what I'm.
How can you have a drinking contest across species? Like they synthesize. They're using different. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would have rather seen her arm wrestle or something like that, to be honest, or something real besides a drinking contest. But okay. But it wasn't until John pointed out that I realized what a blatant ripoff of Indiana Jones.
Would you have that? Would you say that when you were 12? Like, I just think pop culture.
When I was 12, I would have stopped watching whenever Nurse Chapel was on screen and just not watched the rest of the episode. So
it was John who nailed it to me, who pointed it out for sure, and I was like, obviously, just like the alien.
I'm glad I'm helping you discover your inner hate.
But why do they take Lon, the character we hate the most, who is already ripped off from a sci-fi thing we love, and then every time they got to rip off aliens, like let's shove it into Lon, and now let's rip off Indians, let's give that to Lon. Like, wow. I hate it.
They think people like Lon, by the way. Lon is a very popular character in the fan jerk off community.
As a character, she's not that annoying. Like
I'm going to agree with you. Like if she was just, Caroline, Sunny or whatever the fuck. I'm not good at names.
Oh no, did he freeze when he was trying to come up with a name?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
With a name. Because I kept thinking of Karen Soong. I'm like, that doesn't work. That's a stupid name. But anyway, if she was just Carol Singh, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. She seems fine. She's got this weird backstory. She gives off one-liners. That's cool. But they keep trying to force in this Khan shit. Enough with the Khan. A moratorium on Khan. No more Khan bullshit.
Well, now, okay. So the end of this thing has sort of set us up, though. We've got the introduction of a new alien, a new interesting alien species, let's just say. I really wanted to know what you guys think about the Carol Kane. They've been around on Earth since the 22nd century, living amongst us.
So I got really pissed. I started to get really pissed off because I couldn't tell like what sort of accent she was doing. And like they didn't say she was an alien for a while. And then they're like, oh, you're an alien. I'm like, oh, she's doing like an alien thing. Okay, got it.
They visually story told you that. Like that was the one annoyance I had with her character is that she gets an extra pin that you can sell on Facebook.
Yeah,
like fuck you.
I do like though. She had a delta with like a little like trapezoid around it. That was cool. I definitely
of course, that's what bothered you. Didn't.
No, the insignia was great because they had the extra. That's support services.
How about the fact that she rewrites? Oh, wait a minute. So is that after technically First Contact? In the Star Trek universe, they said 22nd century. They'd been living amongst humans until the 22nd century. So when was First Contact? When did the
2063?
2063.
Yeah, it's coming up quick.
So in other words, it was post First Contact that these guys were maybe living on Earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the birth of the Federation is 2161.
Yeah, so
a day that will live in infamy.
I'm kind of with Rick. I like Carol Kane, but boy,
I like Carol Kane too.
She's seasoning and not like I like the fact that she like is hanging out in the scene with Spock drinking with Klingons, and her whole role in that scene is like, hey, I have a really entertaining backstory, but that's a story for another day. We'll be just boring everybody. About 5 minutes at a time for the rest of the season. Like that shit needs to go. That these guys are on a ship and they're out in space and they're doing strange new worlds. The fact that I don't know Ortegas's backstory, it makes her my favorite character on the bridge. Because that's just somebody who fucking put on the shirt and graduated, got a B+ at their stuff after working like a dog. They made it to be like a really good pilot. And they're just fucking happy to be there. I think every single seat on the bridge should be like that in their own way. Yeah, Scotty was like that. Fucking Spock was like that. Aurora was like that. Sulu was like that. Chekhov was like that.
I think we got a little Ortega's backstory just in the dialogue and the banter back and forth. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I like
color, right? But you don't stop shit in the middle of somebody else's scene getting drunk with Klingons and then start off with your backstory. Like, fuck you. Just let her be Carol Kane in a Star Trek uniform.
Yeah. They've given her that. They've made her
Thanks, Chris.
And like a sort of almost Guinan, I want to say, like character in the sense that she's old and she's wise.
Yeah, she's wise.
She knows.
You know what I'm kind of on a rant. I'm not going to say this in a rant way, but just picture I was freaking out by like the wrong insignia. Okay, the fact that she just shows up and starts telling everybody what to do, and everybody gets it, is like the biggest cheat and the biggest relief at the same time. Right? It's like, I don't want them to spend an entire episode on the new goddamn engineer that's going to die at the end of the episode anyway. Yeah. Right? Just let Carol Kane show up and go, have fun storming the castle. and then everybody goes, yeah, all right. And then have some Star Trek. How about that for a change?
I'll bet you it's going to be. Remember, we only had the engineer in like 3 or 5 of the episode. He wasn't in all of them, so maybe it'll be a similar type scenario.
I was going to say, I hope I really like Carol Kane. I hope they don't Tig Notaro her, and I hope they don't just put her in like 2 scenes every 3rd episode. And it's like, no, like if she's part of the crew, she's part of the crew. Go on adventures. It's an adventure show. Go on adventures.
Well, and she's got the Spock's mom connection.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Why would they do that?
Of the
I don't know.
7
What do we know about
billion humans?
Yeah.
You know.
So Dan, you went to college. Somebody shows up and goes, "Hey, where are you from?" I'm like, I'm from Springfield, Illinois. Springfield, Illinois. You know Dave Stevens? He lives in Joliet, right? That's what fucking. Hey, Amanda Grayson's the first Earth person I came out to. Fuck you, whoever wrote that.
Not only do I know Dan Stevens from Juliet, I fucking came out to Dan Stevens.
Okay, that's like Steve Ditko being mad that the Green Goblin knew Peter Parker was too related. But I think that's interesting because wait a minute, because do we know how Spock's mom hooked up with Sarek? Like, is there a lot of info?
Do you have to?
I'm sure they're going to tell us.
I think it's interesting. That's a pretty interesting story to tell.
No.
Is it?
No. All you need to know is she was a
human
human school teacher, and she fucking boned Sarek, and he got her pregnant, and he's like, well, I married you because it was logical. And then
you tell me the first human to breed with an alien is not going to get like good.
Is it the first?
That's true. We don't know.
No. And it doesn't matter. Like, really, do we have to go into like what kind of like fucking sex thing position they were using? No. Fucking some kind of like what are Vulcan condoms like? Let's do an episode on that. Oh, and it broke and we got Spock. Oh, here's the action figure. I mean, come on. That's what they do all day long. Nerds.
I'm ready for that. All right, boys. This is it. I'm gonna hit the ejector. I'm gonna get it.
Dantron's on vacation. He's got to go hang out with the younglings.
I will set you up in the schedule next week's episode for you guys, but Captain Fun is going to have the con, so you're going to be kicking that thing off.
It's nothing but booze and loose women, John. So so
it's been a pleasure. Talk it up. Enjoy it.
I'm going on a mission.
I just want to give my final thoughts on Strange New Worlds. Overall, I enjoyed that episode. It makes me want to watch more. It turns out I didn't delete my Paramount Plus.
Nice.
Membership.
Yes. Excellent.
So I'm in. I'll watch it.
I'm so happy you're watching Star Trek, man.
I'll try to weigh in, and we'll talk about maybe we reschedule just during Strange New Worlds for like a different. I don't know. We could talk about it.
It's a thought
because I'd love to be the freshest hot take on this thing. I've already read 3 articles by each of you guys, and then commentary here all over the place.
We need to get Kozermart to do a special shirt in whatever color that you take it into deep blue. It still like turns red or something.
All right, boys. Nanu. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Dan. Yay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. Anyway, I got to leave in like 15 minutes too.
Nah, it's cool, man. It's all right. My dog is over here.
But let's Star Trek it up, man.
Guys. So anyway, Star Trek, right? If I was going to do a leather jacket, and
I put ship posting on the left.
Okay.
And
would you put United Federation of Planets on the right?
Yeah, because the only reason I say that is because that's where the American flag goes.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking.
I think that's a good move. I do.
And speaking of leather, like I was hoping that I would get a couple of speaking of Kozemart, a couple of those Kozemart guys have gotten their
speaking of leather,
their Picard season 3 jackets.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to spend 100 and change on a leather one because whatever. But the Kozemart guys did one, and for $60, I'm like, I'll wear that during the show. So I thought it was going to come today. A couple of guys were getting theirs, and I was going to show up with my little jacket next week.
I don't like the Picard stuff. It's too. I don't know. There's something.
I don't either.
But there's something weird about it.
I felt like I needed to buy something from Kozemart.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
And I'm like, I'm pretty up on all the stuff that I actually like, and I wanted to reward them for making that because they make shit just because 20 people say, "Can I have that?" right? Those black monster maroons, like holy shit.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty boss.
I'm like, hey, Cosmar, can you make one of those spacesuits from Tholian Web, please? I'll do the helmet,
dude. Right?
Just do the rest of it.
We got Christopher Benassi here. Says, Mr. Price, Eagle Moss Star Trek models are available again.
Is that true?
Is that true? Where do I find such magical gifts? Because I stopped myself today from buying a ship off Star Trek Online. I would much rather buy Eagle Moss, but depends.
Wow,
Depends.
that's fantastic.
We'll see. We'll see what we got.
That Christopher guy is rocking it today. All modern.
Yeah, having a great day.
Look at this. All modern Star Trek producers know is that Wrath of Khan was the popular one.
That's true. That's right. Listen to the comment. So the commentary. Has anyone ever listened to the commentary of Star Trek 2009? It's Kurtzman and Orsi, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And they're doing the commentary, and J.J. Abrams, I think, did it as well. But and then they're like, "Oh, we should have put a stinger at the end where you just see the Botany Bay flying in space." And then they go on like a 5-minute inside joke about how they're clearly just going to make Wrath of Khan the next movie, and then Star Trek Into Darkness is just plagiarizing Wrath of Khan. So big brains over there.
That
Big
makes
brains.
me sad. But
yeah.
They don't get it, man.
No,
I mean, imagine if you and me were trying to write an episode of Sex in the City or something.
Right.
We could do it. Fans wouldn't be happy. I'm
well aware that one of them has red hair, and I could write red hair jokes all day.
I'll take.
Speaking of writing red hair jokes, we need to get a certain Nancy on as a guest one day, because her stand-up career is fucking skyrocketing, and we need to get her on a Netflix special as soon as possible.
If only she would watch some Star Trek, so there'd be an excuse. I sent her the cartoons, and she's like, "I know Star Trek is your love language," and I'm like, "Okay, that's cool," but like I'm reading the rest of your thank you email, and I can see clearly where it says, "But I don't give a shit about this Star Trek bullshit." But it was very polite. So we'll have her on.
She's a saint. She's a saint. Yeah.
Is she posting stuff on Instagram or something?
Every once in a while. She has a fantastic Pat Robertson is dead joke. But but she doesn't use Instagram, so she's relying on me to kind of like tell her how to Instagram. I'm like, you are asking the wrong person. But anyway, I'll help you as much
TikTok,
as I can.
Then did she post stuff?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the kids do these days.
Just so you know, I'm relying on you to send me links for Nancy's jokes too.
This is no good. Your
point is right. She's not.
This is a daisy chain of just terrible technology.
She's not doing her job though. She should tell everybody.
I know she needs to advocate for herself. But anyway, she's crushing it.
Did you see Christopher's getting you the links for Eagle Moss?
I saw that.
Unreleased stuff.
Unreleased.
Look out.
Now, I just need to set up a separate bank account. And,
so Jess doesn't know? Yeah, that's why we deal in cash. Just hold out a book and throw a couple of 20s in every week. And
that's right.
At the end of 6 months, you'd be like, wow, I got a couple $100 here the missus doesn't know about. What are we doing?
So for Strange New Worlds, here's I understand. Let me rephrase this complaint, because it's a bigger complaint. They are very bad at naming their shows, right? The Discovery, Star Trek Discovery. What is the implication there? They are going to discover things. And the show was never about discovering anything. Not even personal discoveries. It wasn't even personal discoveries. It was just fucking bullshit for fucking 10 seasons. And then Strange New Worlds, right? What is the implication? The implication is we're going to go find strange new worlds. We're going to go explore space, right? And they're not exploring space. It drives me insane. Like, if you want to call it, Star Trek Pike, call it fucking Star Trek Pike. If you want to call it Star Trek pre-logic Spock, call it fucking pre-logic, call it something. But if you're calling it Strange New Worlds, I want to go to fucking Strange New Worlds, man. I want to explore the universe.
Hey, can I help you with that Spock thing? It's not just the women's Spock that they're airing out. They actually said in this last episode that when when he opened his Katra to defeat
his
the
chakras.
fucking alien Gorns, that like all bets are off now. So at least there's a story for that.
At least I'll give them. I will agree. At least they put in one line that was like, "Hey, here's why Spock is emotional now." I'll give them credit, because if they hadn't, I'd be up here saying all they had to do was put in one line.
Yeah.
So fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, but isn't that hilarious though? That like we've been actually saying that for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Just if it's important, write a line.
Yeah,
and then,
just put a line.
But now they're like, we take your note, guys. We wrote a line, except you put it in front of the scene instead of after.
Right.
It's like, are you guys professional TV guys? Because I'm a professional TV watcher, and I know that you're fucking up.
Look, I'm not saying I could write better episodes, but if you give me the first draft, I will tell you everything that's wrong with it. That's
the problem, man. They have too many cooks in the kitchen. If they would just I'm sure that writer's room is full of talented writers. They just for some reason, like they just don't let them go and do it.
Well, it's like fucking like I know the names of some of the writers that have been on some of these shows, and they're, it's not all 90210 people. There are a significant number of 90210 people, but it's not all of them. Fucking Mark Bernardin was a producer of, I forget which one. I think it was
season
Picard
2
or
of
something.
Picard, I think.
But like, they have the people, they have the money, they have the resources. They just don't fucking.
Alex McElroy is a fantastic writer.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything that guy does, except I was gonna say except Star Trek, but you know what? I even like his Discovery episode.
Yeah.
Because he's such a good writer that even shitting on his stuff, it still comes through that he wrote a good episode.
Yes. Yeah. And we've talked about that before, where it's like, you can tell the ones that Alan writes because the dialogue is better, the scenes are better, like it's just better. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's all I got.
He's right. What I don't get though is like the people complain. Like, yeah, man.
Well, I mean, I'm one of the complainers.
I've started well, me too. I mean, I guess I should have finished the sentence. I don't get people complaining about this stuff that I don't understand where their complaints are coming from.
Fair enough.
Like I totally get what you are upset about. I think that the girl playing Nurse Chapel is just very Australian. So even though she doesn't get to use her real speaking voice, she still looks full on Australian.
She looks Australian.
So that's fine for me. Like, and then I'll watch
it would have been very funny.
Will Wheaton try to disguise his love for her while he's talking to her on Ready Room or whatever. Yeah, where she's talking in her real voice.
Oh my god!
I just sit at the
screen
and go, "Really? Can you tell me some more about that, please?"
Yeah, it would have been very funny if they had Rebecca Romaine play Nurse Chapel as well. But man, am I glad they didn't.
Yeah, well, now we get more fun, right? The other guy the other actor I do that to is Anson Mount. Man, that guy starts talking, and I just go, "Tell me, Captain, what are the Earth women like in your world?" Right. I mean, it's like, are they all Australian like Nurse Chapel?
What is it about Australians? They just, we watch a ton of reality TV, and like you can always tell the Australians. They're just different.
I love the whole like their backstory. Like you're descended from the people England didn't want, so already that's a check in the plus column for this American. And then second, they threw in a place where everything evolved to kill you, and you just get drunk and deal with it.
You just deal. Those are my people. Deal with it. That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Anyway. So I'm not doing summer school at Starfleet Academy High School. So I've got all this free time, quote unquote free time. So I guess my question for the audience is, should my next fan fiction be set in TOS universe or the post Star Trek Picard universe? That's kind of
TOS. No, don't do Picard, man.
But there's you're not hung up with anything. It's like, oh, the Borg are gone. You got to invent new things.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm asking the audience.
I'll read anything you do.
I don't know.
Here's my problem, though. I got to split for Walker.
Yep.
So you want to say some pithy thing? Yeah. See Segaseg, TOS, the Drunken Sailor.
TOS. All right. Yeah. TOS it is.
Give us your Captain Kirk story you want to write now.
Boy.
All right.
It's a mandate. All right, I'm gonna go do that now.
Tell us when
See
to
you guys
see your
later.
next
We
week.
will catch you next time, and don't forget to tip your waitress
On the internet.
on the internet.